Hey everyone, Tommy from TechNexus, and thanks for joining me for this week's series of videos. Now, I wanted to spend a bit of time in FormIt. There was a update that just came through in the last couple of days, and I just thought I haven't sort of used FormIt for a while. I did a video on it just recently about doing some sort of plant equipment in it, which you can do now. They've sort of let it do millimeters now, so you can do quite small and detailed things now. It's not to say you couldn't before, I guess, do it in maybe centimeters and then scale it down, but now they've come back and said that millimeters is an option for you to do things. So what I wanted to have a look at, just doing something simple like this sort of cube house. It's just kind of like a Rubik's Cube, I guess. I've got 4 large window panes here. Obviously, I haven't put a door in, but really what I wanted to go through was demonstrate how I did this, and it's not necessarily the 100% correct way, but it's the way that I learnt to use FormIt and the way to sort of place things and model and do construction lines and all that sort of stuff, and sort of get to this sort of point of detail. I'm also going to cover a little bit of the material side. So you can see here we've got glass, so I can see through this window pane, and you can also see that, just zoom out a little bit there, that we've got some rabbit families in here of a bed. And I also brought in just some bathroom fittings in here as well. So we've got a toilet and a sink and all that kind of stuff as well. So I just wanted to show you, I guess, this week on how I did that, and sort of to kick you off if you wanted to have a play with FormIt as well. So before we get started, I guess it's just sort of going through the interface here. So there is also an iPad app, there is a web app, and I'm using obviously the Windows desktop app. We have the normal menu at the top. We've got a small palette here as well, and then down the right hand side we've got a whole bunch of dialogues that appear. So I'm just going to close those off and then show you about how to load them up. And then we've got our sort of visualization, or rotating, panning, zoom in and out, all that kind of stuff as well. I guess kind of like the navigation bar in there as well. So up on the menu, we've got the different options for opening, saving, importing. So importing a 3D model, we've got AXMs, so other FormIt files, FBX, OBJ, SAT, SketchUp files, and AutoCAD and JSON files. And then for exporting functions, we've got AXM, FBX, OBJ, SAT, DAE, DXF, and images as well. So quite a fair few options, and excuse me, also maybe a little bit confusing as to what to use it for. In my mind, it's probably a little bit easier to model in here than it is in AutoCAD. I think that's kind of what FormIt was sort of built for, just ease of sketching. And you could say that obviously SketchUp is the direct competitor to it, and by all accounts, most people say that SketchUp is easier to use and more intuitive. But then again, a lot of people say that AutoCAD is easier compared to MicroStation, and vice versa as well. So I think you're going to get arguments for both sides of the camp. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I guess if you've got the AEC collections, then you don't need to buy or subscribe to a pro version of SketchUp, even though I think there is still a free version. View my files in BIM 360 Docs. So obviously, since replacing A360 Drive, Autodesk have been pushing everyone to go into BIM 360 Docs, so you can host it up in the cloud. The usual edit functions, set axes. So set axes is one of these ones. Actually, I might do it a bit later when we do a location. Then we can have a look at what that does. Basically, that just means it's going to rotate your axes from the traditional north, south, east, west to different orientation that suits your model. Under the preferences, so the content library, Dynamo directories, any other shortcuts, auto save, and development windows. I guess if you're interested in the development windows, that option is there for you. View options, so just top view, elevations, bottom view, 3D views, fly mode, orbit, swivel, pan, zoom, just the usual kind of stuff. Now, creating objects in here. So under the draw, this is all the sort of the 2D sort of stuff that you can do. So if I just go to draw a rectangle, then you'll see that I can come in here and draw a rectangle. Okay, and then from that we can push and pull it, and then we end up with our 3D solid there. So you can, I guess, sketch maybe if you brought in an AutoCAD file. So if we import an image, then you could trace over it. Solids is just that, so it brings in the solid already, and then from that you can just go through and adjust, you know, the sides as you see fit. Advanced modeling tools, so they will be things like joining, cutting, sweeping, lofting, offset, shelling. I'm not going to be doing any shelling, but I guess in theory you could probably just draw this as a solid cube and then shell the insides out, but I'm just going to do it in more basic ways. And filleting, grouping things together is really handy if you're doing something that's sort of quite repetitive per se. Maybe if you're doing, I don't know, some sort of layout of a whole bunch of buildings, and you can group them all together and make them all the same, and then cutting through a section plane, which I'll go through a little bit later anyway. Design tools, under design tools we have the location. So under here I can set out where I want my project to live. So looks like this might have defaulted somewhere near Canberra. Again, that could be a leftover, but I'm not entirely sure. But you can see here that we can import our location, and I will be starting with a location for tomorrow when we do actually start this project as well. Units, as usual, we need to work in, come on, in millimeters. So we got metric. I think there was a bug just recently which might have been squashed, where it was defaulting to imperial all the time, and now I think it defaults by default to the last one that you set. Snapping to grid, large toolbar buttons if you like them large, or if you like your different themes, light, dark, and blue theme. I just like the light one. Energy analysis, I will go through that a little bit later as well. I'm not sort of entirely sure on how it applies to Australian code. If you are a FormIt user and you are watching this, please do put some comments below and correct me if I'm right, or let me know if I'm right, or if I'm wrong, please correct me. But I'm not entirely sure on that, but we can have a look at that anyway. Collaboration, this is actually quite cool, where I can collaborate with someone on their iPad or on another PC, and we see the changes that happen back and forth between the different pieces of hardware as well. So it's really good sort of true collaboration as well. All of the different windows, so I can turn on all the different properties. So if we go through, I'll actually turn all of these on, and then we'll go through them one by one as well, and then all of the updates and anything else as well. Okay, plugin manager, I'll turn that off for now actually, just because it's taking up a bit of room, and the scripts. Okay, properties, so the location, the gross area, target area, so you get some of the sketch properties in there. Materials, you can see here I've got some polished and blue reflective glass in here for the front panes, some rectangular stones for the walls. But this is where you can create new materials, import materials, and pick a face. So kind of like that eyedropper, you can pick an existing one. Layers, so kind of like AutoCAD layers, so I can turn individual layers on and off. So if I just want to look at the slab on its own, then I can turn off the layers and only just see the slab. If I want to see the stairs with it, and the eastern wall, western wall, there we go. So then I can sort of filter out what I see here on the screen, and I will go through that once we get into sort of more deeper things, modeling with this tomorrow. Saving, capturing any scenes that you want as well, which we can go through. The visual styles, so whether you want to see shadows or not. So if you If you come in here, I can see the shadows. I can turn them on or off as well, and we can also adjust sun and shadow, so what time of year. Okay. Any other back faces or effects, that kind of stuff. I personally don't really play around with this too much, but if it's something that's important to you, then you do get some options in here as well. Groups. So this is just the families that I've got in here. So even though they're not on, but you can come in here and create different categories in here, I guess, if you really wanted to. Levels, I will definitely go through with you. I don't have it in this existing model, but it is something that I do want to bring in, because what we are going to do is bring this into Revit at the end of the week, and then we will bring all the levels in that were associated with the elements in there as well. The content, so there is some content in here, but I think I don't have a folder in here, and I will go through this during the week. We can import other Revit families in here, so then that way if you do get a Revit family, we can bring it in as a FormIt family, which then ends up becoming a Revit family when it does get converted over. Undo manager, so I guess if you wanted to go through and undo certain bits and pieces, and Dynamo samples. I think I'll cover Dynamo and FormIt a little bit later, probably not this week. I want to get through a fair bit this week with this model, but ultimately if you're a whiz with Dynamo, then I guess you could probably build this with Dynamo and have it in here under the Dynamo player as well. But very similar to Revit, I guess. If you have if you're used to using Dynamo with Revit, then you can have the Dynamo player and then build up your scripts that way. So that brings us to the end of the video. This is again just the first one, just an introduction into what you can do with FormIt, and then tomorrow we're actually going to make a start on this model that you see in front of you here, and then we'll slowly build up each of the different elements. We'll build up the floors, even these these glass panels in here as well. And I've also got some clamps down here as well. So it is going to be quite intricate and quite detailed, but again, that's the whole idea of this week's session, is to get you sort of more involved with FormIt, and then eventually utilizing it on your own real world projects. So like everything, thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, but please do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon for daily notifications of all my videos. And I will see you tomorrow, where we're going to start doing some modeling. So see you later.